Howdy Photoshoppers. Today we're going to be doing a pop art project using Adobe Photoshop. When you're done with your project, hopefully it will resemble something like this. It will be broken down into 4 parts. So the first picture will be threshold and colorized. The second picture, you'll make it look like a Disney cartoon. The third picture is black and white versus color, and the fourth picture is complementary color scheme. And now if you don't know what complementary colors are, here's a chart that illustrates that. Now if you don't know what pop art is, here's a video that will go into that into more detail.
It was a time of optimism and post-war economic boom for many. Supermarket aisles were filled with consumer products. Advertising and glossy magazines told people what to buy and made them want to buy it. Movie stars filled the silver screen, giving rise to celebrity culture, and the youth fought for freedom. Out of this new popular culture, pop art was born. Its subjects were celebrities, comics, cans, condiments, and cuisine. Its style was flat, colourful, graphic, and commercial-like. Pop art was... Critics were sceptical. How could soup be art? But pop artists were referencing the world in which people actually lived. And as Andy Warhol put it, everything is art. In the UK, Richard Hamilton was amongst the first to reference pop culture using cutouts from American magazines. He was followed by Peter Blake and David Hockney. Together, they celebrated and questioned all things American. Over in the land of the free, however, pop art was a reaction to the introverted nature of abstract expressionism. By filling their canvases with flags, targets, and tires, Robert Rauschenberg and Jasper Johns paved the way. Then, Andy Warhol burst onto the scene with his screen prints, taking reign as the king of pop. Roy Lichtenstein turned comic books into high art, and Claes Oldenburg turned toilets into cushions. Down under, pop art started as a reaction to the conservative state of Australian art. A group called the Annandale Imitation Realists added odds and ends to their canvases in defiance. Later, the American and British pop culture explosion was embraced by Aussie artists like Martin Sharp and Brett Whiteley. By the end of the 60s, pop art's heyday was over, but its legacy had only just begun. A post-pop art emerged. In Australia, it was called popism. This new generation mined past and present pop culture and even borrowed, or appropriated, work from the past. Pop art is one of the defining and most recognisable movements of the 20th century. Today, it's more than a reflection of popular culture, it's a part of it.
Okay, so to get started, we're going to need to find the camera on our phone and make sure the slide's off. So you'll go to the bottom left corner and type in camera to access your camera, and you're going to take 4 pictures of yourself that kind of reflect your personality and who you are as a person. Here I am, the big dumb animal, taking my photographs. The 4 moods of Kleber. I hate referring to myself in the third person, but this must be done when doing voiceover work. Alright, so when you get done taking those photos, you're going to open up one at a time in Photoshop, and you're going to find those in your pictures under camera roll, most likely in your pictures folder. And then just open up one, and it'll open up. The first thing you're going to need to do is locate the polygonal lasso tool, and you're going to select around yourself. Now if you want to stay zoomed in, which I highly recommend like this and not zoom out, to move your selection tool around your figure, it's easier to hold down the space bar. But if you can select around it like I am right here, that's great. That means you don't have to zoom in. So I'll just finish zooming in here. Now I'm going to want to do other parts, so I'm going to make sure the add to selection is select it up in the options bar, and get any spots that you don't you want to get rid of for your background. So for me, it's where you see the floor and the background. Now over on your layer bar, make sure you turn that lock off, and then when you hit backspace on your keyboard, it gets rid of everything. Now to get on Google Images, then you just find a background somewhere you'd rather be, maybe. So I chose a picture of a beach, I copied it, and then I went to edit paste, and you can see it's on top of the other layer in the layer box, so I just moved it down and did a little edit free transform. I'm still sizing it to my specifications, so you might have to do that. Chances are the proportions will not be the same. So once you get it where you like it, which for me seems to be right about here, and notice I'm going back to my layer on the layer box, and then go to image, image adjustments threshold, and this is where you mess with that level till you get it where you like it. The next step is you're gonna go to image adjustments, hue saturation. Now there's a little box that says Colorized. You want to click on that, and then immediately just turn up your lightness just a little bit, and then you can move the hue bar up and down to get a color you like, and maybe if you want more saturation. So that's how you do that. All right, the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna go to blending options, and I want you to kind of mess around just with a couple, either the stroke or the outer glow or the drop shadow. Just mess with those three. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. I just thought maybe add some cool depth. The outer glow right here, to get that cool effect, I turned it off from the white to the gradient, and then I just went down here to a gradient that I thought kind of matched it, and messed around with that. As always, I always encourage you to kind of experiment with what Photoshop has. So now it's time to save it. So file, save it as a JPEG. I would just save it as one, hit OK, and then open up your next picture, which after you can close this one, whatever. File, open, and open up your second picture. So the second picture is going to be the Disney one. So the first thing you do is you're going to get a layer, new layer, hit OK. You could have named it painting layer, and then you're going to select your brush tool, and you're going to make it really tiny on your options bar, maybe about about the size of my brush right there. And then you're basically, it's really similar to that project, the digital painting project we did. In fact, it's almost identical, except for the fact that we're not going to be pasting in pictures. We're just going to be filling it with a paint bucket. So get your brush size to be about the size of like a cartoon line, and you're basically going to outline your entire body, so it'll kind of be like a giant coloring sheet. Now it's up to you if you want to outline the background. That's totally your call. I'm just leaving it blank. As you can see right here, I just did just the basics. So once you get done outlining it, you are ready to color it in, and this is where we go and get the paint bucket tool. So when you paint this, you're going to want to make sure you're on the right layer. So you don't need the background layer anymore if you got all the details you want, and you have to go around and check to make sure there's no holes anywhere. So the first thing you need to do is click on the black color picker, and I kind of messed around here for the first couple minutes trying to get a more accurate skin representation, but it didn't look Disney-esque. It looked almost like a corpse. So I had to I realized this, and then had to edit undo all this and choose a more, I don't know, warmer skin tone. Alright, so once I did that, here we go. Bebop bop. Alright, jeez. I color these in. There's something else you can do to give it that, kind of 90s Disney the way everything seemed to be airbrushed. So I'm gonna choose my magic wand tool up there in my toolbar, and I'm gonna just select the hand. Select part of your face. Now I used the burn tool, and you can see what I did. There's different effects you can do with the burn tool. If you choose the burn tool, it looks like the pinch. I'm going really fast for some reason. I'm not even sped up. That's crazy. So the burn tool, it's up at the top in the options bar. When you select it in the toolbar, I always turn down the hardness to 0%, and you can always make the brush size bigger. You saw right there that my brush size was pretty large, and then my hardness was 0. And then again, mess around with those three: the shadows, highlights, midtones. Just see what each one does. Now notice I'm just coloring in that hand right there, and I'm not affecting the face. But now when I use the magic wand again, if it's on single action, I guess single selection, you can also do it that way as well. And I just like to go back and forth to see where the actual shadows are on my face when I put the burning on there. So that's why it's probably good to keep your background, the original photo, before you delete it, just to see where the shadows are and stuff. So I'm choosing with the magic wand each skin area separately, and then doing this burning. When I grade these, I'm going to be looking for a good use of the burn and the dodge tool, which I'll show you the dodge tool here in a second. That's part of your grade, so make sure you don't skip over, oh, he just said color it in. No, I want you to color it in, but then also shade it in with the burn tool. So that definitely I want you to get more acclimated to using the burn tool. Now I'm coloring in my jacket, my flannel, and I like to kind of dance around the actual color. You get different shades of that blue. I don't know, it just makes it look a little bit more dynamic. That was too drastic of a change. It just gives it more, I don't know, it makes it look more real, but even though it's a cartoon, I don't know how to describe it. But then, yeah, use the magic wand on each section of clothing, and put the burn tool where it would be. Naturally, if you look at this, I'm assuming the shadows would be towards the bottom of the jacket, and it looks like I'm going to be doing some dodging. So this is the dodge tool, which makes things lighter. So this is where you can use, and then I'm using the burn tool underneath. And then with select, deselect, you can see, yeah, it gives it a nice kind of, I don't know, almost like a comic book too. And then I'm using the dodge tool around there. And again, always making sure the hardness is at 0. I cannot stress that enough. When you use the dodge and burn tool for this kind of shading purposes, always make sure your brush is at 0 hardness. So you can see I have most of the face done. And if you mess up and do something like that, it's probably because you're on the wrong layer. And that happens to me as well. Alright, so it looks like I'm trying to color in the whites of my eye, and it's going to be tricky because that's a really tiny spot to get zoomed out. So I'm going to zoom in on here and color in the whites of the eye, and then I'll switch to black to color in the eyeball. But you see that fringe area? I'm going to use a really small brush and brush over that with a black so to get rid of it, and then switch back to white and do a little dot for the reflection. Now for this one, I'll just use my black brush tool. It's, I'm already there, and then switch to white to do the reflection, and then view fit on screen. So if I turn off the back layer, which I like to do to see what else I have to color in, obviously color in the rest of you, but I would say leave the background alone. Don't color it in. I want you to put in a kind of Disney background. So after I get done here with the dodging and burning and coloring all the stuff that I missed, you can see right here that I'm kind of getting into the beard with the dodge and burn tool, adding that kind of hair-like texture. My brush is still at 0, but I turn the size way down so you can see, and I added, I dodged and burned the beard, so there's light parts and dark parts. You don't have to do that for your hair. I'm just saying if you want to go to that level of detail. All right, so it looks like I'm finishing up here with the coloring and using the dodge and burn tool. So for the background, go on to Google Images. You don't need yours anymore if you got it all. And look up cartoon background. Those are literally the easiest way to do it. Now I like one that has that 90s look, so I think it was that one right there. I'm just gonna copy this, go back to Photoshop, edit, paste, and then edit free transform. Don't worry if it's on top because you can always move it down in the layer box. So make it like that, hit enter, drag it to the bottom. I'm struggling there we go, and then save this as a JPEG. So to do that, file, there we go, file, save as JPEG, change that to JPEG, and then type in 2, and then you'll be ready to do the third one, which is the black and white versus colorized. So you're gonna go to File, Open. After I'm just going to close these out. There's another one that I didn't feel like doing. So open. This will be your black versus white. Now this is get used to using the selection tool. We're going to select around your body again. So you're going to be getting used to that. It just helps you get more acclimated to using the polygonal lasso tool because I think it's such a helpful tool. Now you'll notice here that I am zoomed in and I'm holding the space bar when I run out of room on my composition. I just hold down the space bar and it allows me to use that big hand, grab the composition and drag it so I can continue selecting around the object. Okay, so now that I'm done selecting around the object here, I'll double click to complete the circuit, and then maybe make sure my add to selection is selected, and I'll get other spots if I need to get other spots to erase. It's just like the first picture we did. So I'm just going to carefully select these last spots right here, and then when I hit backspace after I connect this one right here, I'm gonna make sure that my lock is off in my layer window. If you look right there, the lock is still on, so I gotta turn that off. And then when I hit backspace, it gets rid of the background, then deselect to get rid of the selection. Now, for your background, I want you to look up a really colorful background. I looked up art background, and this one just, I don't know, kind of appealed to me. So I copied it, and then just go over to Photoshop, edit, paste, edit free transform, and then transform it till it fits the entire composition there. It's okay if it's on top because, as always, once you hit enter, you can always drag it under to the bottom. Now go up to the top layer and go to filter gallery. Now here's where I want you to kind of experiment with filters. Now in order for this to work though, you need to make sure your colors over there on your toolbar are black and white. And then when you use the filter gallery, you can mess around with these and you can add more than one. But whatever colors are right over here, they've got to be black and white, black over white. And then filter gallery, and you can see each filter has its own set of levels that you can maneuver around. I think what you should do though to make it black and white and to get that filter that you like is keep scrolling down till you find all the black and white ones, and once you click on them you kind of see Now this one is just awful. I should be using the sketch. That's where I should have told you, just go straight to sketch and mess around with the chalk and charcoal and the chrome. And the ones I really like are Conti Crayon and halftone pattern. So, kind of experiment with those until you get it where you like it. This is the graphic. What is that again? Graphic pen. Yeah. Like I said, the halftone pattern. That's really cool if you want that kind of 80s look. I didn't even choose it for this one, but I would strongly suggest the halftone pattern, especially for pop artwork. So once you mess around with the levels and get it where you like it, you hit OK. You can see you get a beautiful contrast now. Now the last thing you need to do to get the full grade is go into blending options and either mess around with stroke or outer glow again. Do one of those on there just to make it stand out from the background a little bit more. I would suggest you can use whatever color you want, but I would suggest try experimenting again with some of these tools and blending options, because for those students that like to experiment and get better at something, it really takes maybe it didn't work for this project, but you like that effect and you kind of want to remember that for a future project. So again, I'm always encouraging you guys to explore the software and not just do the basics. Anybody can do the basics. So once you get it to where you like it, for me that takes a while because I'm a perfectionist. But you go to File, Save As, save it as a JPEG, and you're going to save this as the number 3 picture. Make sure it's a JPEG, and then type in 3, hit save, hit OK. Now you're going to open up the last picture, and this will be the one that is complementary. And in case you forget what complementary colors are or what complementary color schemes are, here is a beautiful representation of what that is. So basically your choices are red and green, or orange and blue, or yellow and purple. So when you figure that out, your background's got to be either, say you choose red and blue, your background's got to be blue and your body's got to be orange, or the background's got to be orange and you got to be blue. So whatever 2 colors you choose, that's going to be kind of the theme you're going for. So once again, I'm selecting around my body, and make sure your layer's turned off. Make sure that lock is turned off before you hit backspace. There it is, and then you hit backspace, select, deselect. Now for the background, I'm choosing orange and blue. So I'm going to look up orange background. If I can type. There we go. And when I see some pop up, I go to images. Usually I want to go to large images, but it looks like I'm not doing that. Find 2 that you kind of like, because you're going to do 2. Part of the requirements is you're going to use a blending mode. So I'll choose this one first. I'm going to copy this one. And after I get done copying it, I'm going to go back to Photoshop, edit, paste, and edit free transform. Get it to where it fits the entire background. Hit enter. Drag it underneath the bottom. Now go directly back and find a different texture maybe, but same kind of orange. Copy this one, go back to Photoshop, edit, paste, edit, free transform. It should be behind your figure now, so that should be easy. You're probably thinking, well, why am I doing this? Well, I want you to kind of mess with blending mode, so after you hit enter, go over here on your layer box, and where it says normal, I want you to change that to the one that's directly underneath it, which I believe is diffuse. And then while it's highlighted blue, you can see a blue line around it. if you hit the down arrow on your keyboard, you will go through the different blending modes. Now, find one that you kind of like, and I think I kind of like this one right here. So I'll choose this one. Now I'm going to go back to my layer, the layer where you are, and go to Filter Gallery, and this is where I kind of want you to experiment with the filter gallery some more. Excuse me. You know, find a filter that you like. I think for this one, I really like the texturizer, and I think I chose Mosaic. And I just, you know, I don't know, I kind of like that look. It almost looks like a quilt or a blanket or something. So after you do that, you're going to go up to Image, Adjustments, and choose Gradient Map. Now this is going to pop up if you have black and white showing over there on your colors. You can always change it by clicking on those little stops right there, and you're going to change it to blue. You're going to change that the furthest left to blue if you're choosing blue and orange. Now if it's red and green, you got to do the other, you know, exact opposite. But whatever color is supposed to be the opposite of your background color. So in this case, I had an orange background, and I chose a blue gradient map. Now, while you're doing this, you can also add other blending options. I'm always going to encourage that. When you get done with it, save it as a JPEG and save it as number 4. Now we are ready to assemble them. Alright, so to assemble, I'm going to close this, and you have to follow this exactly. You're going to make a new document. You're going to go to File, New, and over here it's going to say 10 inches by 5.615 inches. You want it in this orientation, obviously. Your resolution, this is the biggest key of all, is going to be pixels per inch. You're going to put the number 384 in, 384. That's pretty good resolution, and then hit create. Alright, so now you're ready to open up your images. So just go to File, Open. Alright. Oh man. Alright. So then you just select the ones you want. I made 6 here, so I'm just going to choose the ones that I chose for the video, and I'm going to open those up. Now they're just going to open one on top of each other, which is fine. If you want to see them all at the same time, here's how you do that. You go to Window, Arrange, Float All in Windows, and it's going to populate them all like this. You want to find your white one, and that's the kind of one, the one you want to move everything into, and then you're just going to choose one of these and move it next to it. Make sure your move tool is selected, and then just click on this, drag and let go, and then, you know, position that in one of the corners. And then you don't need this anymore, so you can close this, and then do the same thing with the next one. Hopefully there's it's perfect spacing. If there's not, come see me, but there should be if you have the same dimensions as just a regular laptop camera. Move that right over there, and then I think this one's my favorite. I don't know why, I just like it. And then where's my 4th one? Oops, I think I need to open it up again. There it is. And move that down, move that over, and then we have it right there. Alright, you think you're done, but you're not. So, the next step is you're going to go to Image, Canvas Size, and you're going to change the height to 8. Now before you hit OK, the canvas extension color, might as well just change that to black and hit OK. Now what happens is, you're like, oh, what happened? Just go to View, Fit on Screen, And now we're ready to put on our signature. Now, if you don't have a signature, don't worry, but if you do, just go to File, Open, find your digital signature. I'm using my initials in this case. File, Open, and then you just move it so you can see them both at the same time. And then you're going to use, you can do float all in Windows if you want, and then use the Move tool and move it in like that. Obviously this is ridiculously big. I moved it all the way to the top layer and then edit free transform, and there's a lot of scaling down that looks like needs to happen. So once you get it to where you like it, your digital signature, I try to put it in the bottom right, that's just me, or the bottom left. After you get it where you like it, hit enter to get rid of it. Now if you don't have a signature, you can always go over here to type it in, and I would choose a white color up there in the options bar. Make sure your text is white, and then choose a font that you like, and then just click once and start typing your signature, and then you can edit free transform and put it where you like it. Now, I always like to put the year that I created my artwork on my stuff, just as a reminder of, what I was doing at that time. You don't have to do that, but it's strongly encouraged. All right, so when you totally get done, you're gonna save this as a JPEG, and I would probably save it on your desktop or somewhere where you know where it is, and then change the name to, whatever you want to change it to. I just put Final Pop Art Project or whatever. And then to submit the work, you will go to Google Classroom and find the correct week this project is due. Now when you click on the View Assignment, you go to the top right, Add. You want to do the file. You want to click on Browse and then locate the file, which is the JPEG version. It's in your desktop. Hopefully it's on, right there. You hit Open and wait for it to populate. It'll populate up there in the top right. Wait for it to get done, and then you just hit Turn In or Submit, Turn In, and then you're done. If you want to print it off my color printer at school, that's fine as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this project, and I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day.